Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to the Pitch Day Chronicles. I'm Uncle Tass. I'm here with Rob and Donald. And a discussion came up that really piqued my interest. I really think it's something that's got validity to talk about. And that is the timeline for Blake Snell. And the reason for that would be if you wait too long into spring training, how much of a risk are you taking that he will not be in prime form to start the season and help your team get off on the right foot? So when it comes to somebody like Snell, who, is not, I don't want to say he's not a top pitcher. He has won 2 Cy Youngs. It's not a guy like Cole. Actually, to be a better example would be Rodon last year. We saw the effects long term of not having a full sprint. So how long do you wait until you just say, you know what, it's not worth the risk of having a rough start to the season for one player? How do you guys feel about that? Like, do you guys have a timeline of like, all right, by next week, you know what, it's just time to close the book?
Yeah, I'd say by next week, the latest. Early March has to be like the deadline for these pitchers because they need to have at least a month worth of spring training action. Because the season starts late March anyway, so you want to have at least a few weeks of getting these guys practicing, get them in games, at least try to get them 2 or 3 spring starts under their belt. So if he's not signed by next week, I don't know what's going to happen with him, but yeah, I would think if there's any sort of timeline, it's going to be in the next week for him, especially because the Yankees don't really have to do it. But in another week, you can see, does Cortez still have some things to work on? How's Schmidt looking? He still has issues with left-handed batters, whatever it may be. You got some things to figure out. But within the next week, if Blake Snell is not a Yankee, I don't think he will be.
Donald?
So first of all, salute to everyone in the chat. I can see that the chat is already getting ready to rock and roll with us first thing, so we love that. And also to y'all who have acknowledged this shirt and the context of this shirt, salute to the real ones. We know what this is about. Rob knows what this is about. Because who needs our 3-time All-Star, multiple Silver Slugger, 300 career batting average, multiple batting title guy? Let's get rid of him for nothing. Yeah, that's a good idea, regardless of the no trade clause. Anyway, regards to the question of Blake Snell, we're kind of getting to the point where it's already too late. I mean, he really pitchers need pitchers and catchers. They need to be getting ready in advance, man, because it takes a little bit of time to get your arm warmed up and your stuff ready to go. So, but this is all on Blake Snell. It's not on the Yankees. It ain't on the other teams. It's not on the Giants or any other teams that might be interested. It's all down to Blake Snell and his agent, Scott Boras. Scott Boras put together unrealistic demands and didn't even give a possibility of negotiation. It was stonewalled. It was like the Yankees put in a 6-year offer of over $30 million, and it was rejected per year. Rejected straight out of hand, and there was no comeback. There was no negotiation, nothing. The Yankees were willing to negotiate. Boras wasn't, and that's what's happened. And now Blake Snell is sitting there at home going, well, there ain't no offers coming, Mr. Boras. There's no 9-year deals coming here, Mr. Boras. Have you got an idea here what we're supposed to be doing? And it's gone to the point where even if the Yankees came to him on a short-term deal, it's not the best for Blake Snell, and it doesn't help the Yankees because they're way over the tax. As I say, if you put in a $30 million offer, it's $63 million because it's 110% tax. So we all know these things, but it's just very frustrating if you're a baseball fan. You want the best pitchers signed to teams. You want that. You want Blake Snell to be signed, but I'm starting to get to the point where, like, I'm getting a little bit numb to it now. Like, it's been ongoing. It's been going on for weeks and weeks. There's not anything happening with it, and it's all because of Boris. And I'm starting kind of sick and tired of it. Like at this point, the Yankees should probably have a little deadline on this because it's going to affect them. Because when they signed Rodon late last year, it did affect how he went into the season ready to pitch. He wasn't ready, and he got hurt, and that was it. So it's getting to the point where you might not get a great Blake Snell, even if you signed him tomorrow. It might take him a while. It might take him a few months to get ready to rock and roll. So it's getting kind of frustrating, I think. And I really do genuinely believe that the Yankees are looking elsewhere. I think the Yankees are open to discussions, which is kind of what we're hearing.
Yep.
They're open to discussions. They're never going to close that off. But until it gets realistic, then it's a no-go area. And I think the Yankees would prefer Dylan Cease. I really do.
Yeah, I think a trade is more realistic. But at this point, that's why it's like, and it's not even just Snell. Snell is just a focal point because, as it was said in the chat, all the rumors that keep just spiraling, and just going into, getting into the, everybody's timeline. It's all over. Every time you get an alert from MLB, it's, it's just stupid. Oh, he might be going here, he might be going there. Meanwhile, it's only reported had one offer from the Yankees. There was no, he turned down this from the Phillies or he turned down this from the Mets. I really hope that Snell's regretting his decision to hold off because it's not like teams are kicking down the door for him. So it all falls on Boris because the big free agents that we're still waiting on are all Boris clients. And he's completely, it's almost like he made a mockery of the offseason. And really just nobody has interest anymore. Like nobody cares where they go now. That's the other problem with it, is nobody cares anymore. It's not like a few years ago where we had the Harper Machado watch, where we were living and breathing on all these rumors because the rumors made sense of where those two players would have been, what we're going to wind up. Going on, on watch for Gerrit Cole. There has to be some life to the rumors, and there's nothing. There's nothing there's no foundation to it. And I'm not putting my season at risk because some guy that can't make a decision. If he can't if they're having this much trouble making a decision, how easy is it going to be for them to shake off the pitcher 15 times? And just really just be just not in sync with the team. Because that's the other, you have to be in sync with your catcher. You need that time. And Snell and Montgomery, because they're the two key pitchers still out there, they are really hurting themselves by having an agent that's so freaking stubborn.
Well, that's why the Yankees don't have to beg. They don't have to push for this. If it's going to happen, it's going to have to come from their camp saying, okay, we're willing to do a shorter term deal for X amount of dollars. Can you go to 27 a year or something like that? And then the negotiations will actually happen. But if you want to listen to Heyman, that's up to you. I don't know. He's obviously on Boris's payroll because the guy's posting the same article every 15 minutes. However, he said there were conversations on Monday. It didn't really go anywhere, and then I think it was Eric Bolin yesterday. It's like, it could happen. It could not. Nobody knows what's going on. And even I want to believe Jack Curry. I know he said there's no shot, but Jack Curry never closed the door on it. He keeps saying it's highly unlikely, but he'll always say something like, but you never know, or a phone call could change this. So clearly there's only one team, maybe two now, that if San Francisco keeps getting injuries, maybe they open the door on it again. But if it's going to happen, it has to happen soon. And the pitchers know, the teams know this, and they're going to use that against Boris. But like, look, we're not going to give your guy $30 million if he's not going to be ready. Even if he misses the first couple of weeks of the season, like that's still a big risk you're taking. So yeah, and they won't bid against themselves. You're absolutely right, Brad. So again, it's just kind of the waiting game until Snell gets desperate. But if you get to a point where it's like March 5th, so a week from now, essentially, or 6 days, I think the Yankees just close the door on that. I would still welcome Blake Snell. Don't get me wrong, but I do think the better option right now is to try to push for a trade for Cease. If you can get them to come off the asking price of Jones and you can build a package around Hampton and Pereira, maybe it's a possibility. I don't know if the Yankees want to trade Hampton, but you're going to have to give something to get a Dylan Cease. Maybe that's the route you take because Cease is going to get a lot less money and he's already working in Chicago in the spring, so he won't be behind. It's just a matter of getting him in sync with the catchers, which he's got Jose Trevino catching him. He can get in sync with a guy like that. So that's why I'm not worried. Trevino's a platinum glove winning catcher. He can make it work with anybody.
Yeah. You know, I give credit. Good point by Mazza. I give credit to Brian Cashman on this because when we heard that the Yankees pivoted to Marcus Stroman, my original first thought was like, oh, no, we let Blake Snell slip through our fingers. No, that's why no one knows better than what the general manager is dealing with on a day-to-day basis with these agents. We as fans were only picking up bits and pieces. What we are clearly seeing here is that Boris priced the Yankees out, priced every team out.
Yeah.
And Cashman read the tea leaves going, oh, he's not moving off this. Like, we're not even anywhere near 9 years. And they didn't even come back to us with a renegotiation. There's no shot that we're going to get this done anytime soon. So let's not shop hungry. So that's why he went to Marcus Stroman. The Yankees didn't shop hungry. Could you imagine had they done the alternative, right? Which was not sign Stroman and sit on their heels and then wait and then hope that that Snell's price goes down, because that was the alternative, and that's not a good alternative because the Yankees wouldn't have had another starter, so they'd be sitting there, and then we'd all, as a fan base, collectively be going nuts right now. But they didn't. They didn't shop hungry, and that was smart work because now the Yankees can basically sit there, and if Snell's price goes way down, they'll be like, okay. Oh, well, you want to talk now? Because we didn't want to talk a couple of weeks ago. You want to talk now? Okay. Well, it's on my terms now. Yep. So the Yankees aren't shopping hungry, and they actually have a plan. And I think, you have to give credit to Cashman for that. Don't say it too loudly. You'll have someone saying he's better, smarter, and more creative. Yeah, I know. But that's what it really comes down to. And I'm not too worried about that. Now, another thing I want to pick up on here is this comment in YC84. Snell needs spring training now. Sign him now, or it could be a setback. He also had an earlier comment going, Snell is in shape. He's been throwing at his college, staying in shape. Yeah, okay, that's good, but nothing replicates real life facing pro hitters. And getting in a routine, as Uncle Tats points out, with your catcher, nothing replicates that. Throwing in your backyard or in your college is fine, but nothing replicates real live action facing batters. And so I'm sorry, I don't really buy that. I'm glad he's staying in shape though. That's important, but I don't really buy he needs to be facing live action hitting in order to really see where you are. But I don't know where Snell's going to go. I don't think it's going to be the Yankees. I think Jack Curry knows better than a lot of us, man. If he was on the Gantz booth and he said anything like it would be replicates positive regarding Blake Snell negotiations, he would have said so. It was nothing. He says it's highly, highly, highly unlikely. And he pointed out some of the reasons. And whether you like the reasons or not, it makes sense. Now, I am on board with signing Blake Snell. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I'd love to sign Blake Snell. But I can kind of see the reasons. One of the reasons he brought up is the fact that he's not a guy that's going to give you big innings. He's a guy that's going to give you 5 innings. Are you going to pay $63 million for this season for someone who's going to maybe give you 5 innings? You can kind of see the point. Like, is there value for money in that? That's the question. So, some of the things that he pointed out there, it just might not be worth it. I think you could probably go and get a trade for a Dylan Cease if they can get the price down. Move off of Spencer Jones, and maybe that makes a little bit more sense. Plus, Rodon looks pretty damn good.
Yeah, I'm not worried about Rodon. We went over that the other day. what the expectations are. But look, and it's not even just the Yankees when it comes to this discussion with Snell or with Montgomery. It's really any team that's involved whatsoever, right? We'll use reference points to the Yankees because that's who we follow, but it really goes across the board of baseball. Which is why it was brought up in the chat, and it was geared towards Montgomery. And that's, what about like a 1-year deal just to get on a team and try again with a big contract next year? I think Montgomery would have better chance for that than Snell just because of the age. And I know they're not that much different in age, but I think they're the same. They are the same age, aren't they?
Yeah.
I thought Monty was a couple of years younger. All right. But you're going to have a situation where maybe they just need to grab a 1-year deal and try again next year. Is that all? But with an agent like Boris, that is not going to happen. And I don't think the players will want that either. It's we're just going to get deja vu.
Exactly.
That was the end of my point.
Yeah. Think about it that way, because now they'll be a year older. And what if they're not as good? Because Montgomery did have a good season with Texas last year, and he obviously won a World Series and was a key to a World Series championship. And no one wants to pay him. Blake Snell, despite the whole 5-inning stuff, which is actually not really that true because he went into the 6th inning or later more in more of his starts than he didn't. 20 of his 32 starts, he was in the 6th inning or later. So there's that. He's not just a 5-inning guy. I understand that outside of his Cy Young seasons, he hasn't had the innings, but the 2 years he has won the Cy Young, he does go in deep in the game. So you're hoping you can find a middle ground with that. However, if no one wants the NL Cy Young winner now or a World Series champion pitcher now, why would they want them a year from now when they're going to be older and might want even more money if they pitch better? If no one wants them for their asking price now, why would they want them again? So I think the best route for these guys is to take a Bellinger type deal where they get opt-outs after the first 2 years. Let's say if they both sign 3 or 4 year deals with opt-outs after years 1 and 2, then they have the decision to enter the market again. But this way they'll get a good amount of money, or they can re-enter it, and it's up to them. I think that's the route they have to take for every one of these free agents, except for Martinez. He'll probably get a 1-year deal, but these guys have to sign. They have to eventually, and especially the pitchers. And it is ridiculous. It's been ridiculous for a good month now that they haven't been signed. But the fact that we're now a few days into spring games and we're still getting rumors, you have John Heyman asking Jose Trevino about Juan Soto, about Blake Snell. You have him asking Juan Soto about Blake Snell. You're trying to get Yankees players to endorse for the guy who's obviously paying you the money to write these articles. I mean, it's clear as day now that Boris has this man working overtime. Heyman better be getting paid time and a half. That's all I know. The amount of work he's putting in to push this Boris propaganda. But I mean, all these signs even Clappish just recently, like I think today said, if it's not the Yankees, it'll be the Giants or Angels, and the Yankees wouldn't care that much. Clappish 2 days ago or 3 days ago said it's not happening. So now Clappish is changing his opinion. So obviously something's happening here that nobody knows about. And I still go back to what Jeff Passan said a few days ago. He still thinks the Yankees are the best fit and make the most sense. And he believes it'll come down to them and the Angels. He never said it would. He never said those were the final 2 teams, but he said he believes it'll be Yankees and Angels as the final 2. He wouldn't say that unless he knew something. So clearly there are still conversations. They may not be going very deep, but the Yankees are still involved, which tells me they don't care about the luxury tax that much. So why should we? I think this year they're willing to just go all in, don't matter about the money that much. And then next year they're going to, so much comes off the books. They're not even, it won't even affect Soto. I'm telling you right now, getting Snell this year is not going to affect Soto next year. They got plenty to get Juan Soto. That's not an issue.
Plenty of money coming off.
And they're going to have plenty coming off the books.
Yeah.
Well, before we get any further into discussion, we want to again to everybody in the chat. We are definitely enjoying all the comments. If you haven't already, if you're enjoying this discussion, smack that like button. If you're new to us, hit that sub button. If you've been with us and you're not subbed, shame on you. But let's share this out. Let's keep this conversation going. The experience has to come into play. And when you have players like Snell, Monty, we all know that teams could always use pitching. The other there's still one more player out there that I'm surprised nobody's taken a flyer on, and that's JD Martinez, especially with the universal DH. Is he another guy that you are surprised has just not found a home yet when there are teams that obviously could use the help?
He rejected a contract from the Giants, so
Yeah, he did.
He's another one that it's his own fault. He could have been on a team. He could have been on a team right now. The Giants still need offense. They could have had him in tow, and I think they went somewhere else and they got Lee, but they might have added another bat. I still think they should go get Matt Chapman, but that's another conversation. But Martinez rejected a contract offer from them, and he's like 38 now, and he would have had 14 million, so that's on him. I get wanting to make money, but here we are, February 27th. It's about to be, but for 28th, it's about to be March in 2 days. We're in a leap year. I keep forgetting that. But it's about to be March, and these are still 4 of the top free agents that are unsigned. That's on these players, and it's on their agents. So I don't really think I'm not surprised if he's rejecting offers. It's not on the team. San Francisco wanted him. He said no.
It's unreal. It really is unreal. And it's all Boris. Boris has really dramatically misread the market. It's amazing how badly he misread the market. Don't forget, these agents are actually paid to know the trends, know the contracts, and foresee how contracts are going to play out for that particular offseason and then off seasons down the line. That's what they're paid to do. They're paid to read the analytics and the trends. There'll be people behind the scenes working for Boris and his big agency they've got projections and things like that. And for some reason, he's completely missed the boat on all of that. 9 years for Blake Snell is completely ridiculous, especially in these current circumstances. Me, you, Uncle Tats, and the Easter Bunny know that only about a third of the teams in the majors actually want to spend serious money. So that takes out 2/3 of the teams already out of hand. We're talking about the major clients like the Blake Snells and the Martinez and the Chapmans and the Montgomerys, whatever. So that means that there's only a third of teams actually in play, right? And not all these teams are going to be looking for what that particular client offers, right? Maybe you're good for pitching. Maybe you're good for hitting, right? So then you've whittled that down further. So there'll be only a handful of teams that way in the competition, right? And then maybe that guy doesn't actually want to play in a certain area. So that whittles it down further. You should be able to read those trends. And for some reason, he completely missed the boat. And now everyone's sitting at home. And some of the best players in the majors are sitting at home. It's freaking insane. And we're in spring training. But let's just, regarding JD Martinez turning down the Giants, I can't believe he did that. That's so stupid. Just take the offer, for Christ's sake. Get playing. Then you can go and look for a deal next year if you think it's better. I think it's just ridiculous. Just accept the offer, man. As for Blake Snell, Rob points out something, right? There's no smoke without fire. And what I find really interesting, and I want to get your guys' thoughts on this. Why is Juan Soto talking about Blake Snell? Why is Trevino talking about Blake Snell? We're talking about current Yankees that are talking about Blake Snell. Why would they be talking about Blake Snell unless there are discussions to be had? Cole's talked about him. It's just odd that we've had so many Yankees that are kind of talking about Blake Snell and what of a good fit he would be, and he's unsigned. That says to me that the Yankees are talking to him. Because why would they be talking about someone who's unsigned? I don't know. It's not tapping up, but they're kind of, they're talking about what a good fit he would be. Do you think that means that behind the scenes there's a chance that this is actually going to go through?
Or are they just looking out for their boy? That could be it too. These players all get along. Snell gets along very well with Judge. Obviously, Soto, they were on the same team last year. There's the smoke and fire. Yes, absolutely. I do think there's something going on, but like I said, and I've been saying this most of the offseason, until they're signed, they're still available, right? And I think that still applies today. What's going on, Acevedo? But it's the way I'm done with the waiting game. I really am. I'm so done with it. Just get it, and you got to give credit to. Let's give a little credit to the beat writers, as much as they're driving us crazy. We're already into spring training games, yet we're still talking about free agents. They're keeping these players in the headlines and on everybody's mind. So they're doing their job by keeping, this way, because we're so bored with it. If it wasn't for them putting these guys in the headlines, we wouldn't even be talking about it anymore. They'd be an afterthought.
I mean,
I disagree with that. We're talking about Blake Snell. He's one of the best pitchers in the majors. You just want to sign young.
They have to do it.
Questions as to why he's still unemployed. So
and that's why they're there. Yeah, that's why the beat reporters are there. Also, clearly, a couple of them are on the payroll of the agent. But look, I think we're gonna get him. I mean, if we don't, I'm not gonna lose any sleep, though. I believe we're gonna sign him. I keep thinking about Judge's little that smirk he had. Donnie. I think Donnie just brought it up in the press conference, or someone brought it up in the comments. He had that smirk on his face. He's like, I think there's another move coming. And then now you got other players talking about it. They continue to link him to the Yankees. I have a feeling he's going to sign here. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm not going to say otherwise. If I'm wrong, I don't care at this point. I think we're going to get him. And if we don't, move on. I like our team now, but I like our team a whole lot more with Blake Snell. I'll say that. You can't question if we sign him today, we're better than we were yesterday. That's a pretty simple statement to make.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm too optimistic about it. I'm trying to read the tea leaves. There's no smoke. There's no fire without smoke, whatever the hell the saying is. If he signs here, he signs here. If he doesn't, he doesn't. There's no smoke without fire.
I know, that's what I'm thinking. But then if that was the case, wouldn't we have already heard rumors by now, since spring has started, that his price has gone down? There is no suggestion his price has gone down. We've heard from multiple people, including John Heyman, who's obviously in Boris's payroll, saying that they've had discussions, but they're not anywhere near close. If we're reading the tea leaves, and you've got Aaron Judge with a smirk on his face, and then you got guys that are openly talking about him, like Juan Soto, for Christ's sake, who's played with him for almost 2 years. Wouldn't his price have already gone down if he was that desperate to be a Yankee? I don't know. If Rob's optimistic, I'm not optimistic. I just can't see it, because at this point, why wouldn't his price have gone down? It's so dumb. It's obviously completely ridiculous, and obviously you're not going to get the money that you deserve this offseason, because Yamamoto signed and Ohtani signed, and that's a lot of the money gone. The Yankees paid the massive record arbitration for Juan Soto plus a trade to get him. That whittles a lot of it down. The money just isn't there this offseason. It might be there next offseason. So why that they have not come down and Boris going, right, guys, here's the new plan, accept a high AAV, and then we'll go get him next year or the year after when there'll be more money available. That makes all the sense in the world. But now we're sitting here and we're almost in March, and some of the best players in the league are sitting unsigned.
I'll counter that with Bellinger, because we didn't hear a single thing about Bellinger's asking price coming down until he signed for 3 years, $90 million, which is significantly less than what he wanted. So that's why I think if it happens, when the Yankees make a move, it just kind of happens, except for the Soto stuff that was followed for 2-3 weeks. The Stroman thing happened within like 48 hours. Once the rumors were starting to ramp up, we were like, I don't see it. Then 2 days later, he was a Yankee, right? And Verdugo, it happened out of thin air. There was not a single shred of chatter that they were trying to get him, and then they got him. So but the fact that this is constantly, the Yankees are talking, they're not talking. What are they doing? It tells me that there's conversations, and eventually, if he really gets desperate enough, the price will come to, not to like a $15 million, $20 million deal, but he might be forced at this point to be like, okay, well, I'm not going to get 30, but let's meet in the middle. The Yankees wanted to give him 25. He wanted 30. Give me 27.5, and let's call it a day. Maybe you get him for 2-3 years, $27.5 million, and that's what it comes down to.
But the problem is there's not been any negotiation. The Yankees put in an offer, and we're willing to go up. We're willing to go up or down. whatever to make this work. And then they're like, we're good. So, like, what can the Yankees do? Like, this is the way.
That's why I'm saying if he comes back to them, they already put their bid in. They don't have to do any more. If Snell comes calling back, or if Boris comes calling back, and this is what I've been saying the whole time, it's going to be Boris that comes back to the Yankees and says, can you do this? And then if Hal says, all right, we can make that work, because it's all up to Hal. Hal's going to approve the money. And if Hal says, okay, let's do 28, fine, then they'll get the deal done. But it's up to Boris and Snell now to come back to the Yankees because they've done all they could, and they continue to do all they can. So now it's up to the player and the agent.
Like, we're in complete agreement on that. I'm just saying that the way that Boris represents his clients is either his way or the highway. He doesn't do negotiation. If he tells his agent that he has to reject that, they have to reject it. That's just the way he runs the show. And I completely don't think it actually helps. I think if he was hired, if he had any other agent in his corner, he'd already be a Yankee. He'd have been a Yankee a month ago. So that's what I'm worried about. I don't see Boris with his ego, which is bigger than the entire state of New York. Will he actually go cap in hand to Brian Cashman going, you know what? You're kind of right. Can we discuss it? Can we talk again? Doesn't sound like Scott Boris to me, guys.
No, that's the problem. It's okay. One, the Yankees aren't going to reapproach this until, like you were saying, everybody's been saying, the ball's in Boris and Snell's court right now. There's no point for the Yankees to bid against themselves. They already put their offer out. There's been no word anywhere about another team putting up a bid, for them. So there's no, Boris would have to come back. But the thing is, the longer you wait, the better chance of making it, a deal closer into the Yankees' terms. So the longer it does stretch out, I think it does favor the Yankees. Because it's going to get to the point where the player is going to get desperate. Like I said on Monday, if I'm the player, I'm telling the agent, look, I understand you're trying to get me the most money, so you get a better percentage. But if I'm not signed, you're not making anything. So just get something done. Because this is now you're playing with my future. It's not like he's 25 years old. It's not like
I think that's the point that Mike makes here. I think this is the point that Mike makes here.
Yeah.
I think it was Bellinger that pushed that. I don't think it had anything to do with Boris. I think Bellinger was like, you know what? Just accept the deal, bro.
No, it's definitely the same. Yep. And Donnie, you're right. Cash isn't going to blink. Why should he? We have a starting rotation. We have depth. It's not like Snell, it's not like we're stuck with a 4-man rotation, and we're desperate for him. We're not desperate. That's the advantage that the Yankees have. There is no sense of urgency to get Snell or anybody left on this team, and that's how good Cashman's offseason was. That we're not in that situation. Because how many times have we going? We still need that one big piece. We don't. We're ready to go.
We can. And we've afforded the luxury that we can actually go do that now, this late into the spring. We're in spring training, but again, Hal didn't shut it down. He didn't say he's done adding money. He didn't say we're probably not going to look at free agency, because he also said he's reluctant to trade some of these top prospects. So that tells me I don't think Dylan Cease is actually on the table. As much as I'd want him on this team, I don't think we're going to get him if he's not going to move Jones or Warren or Hampton. It's going to take one of those three, maybe even two of those three, if we're being honest, maybe two of the pitchers. And I don't think the Yankees are doing that. And I don't think that they should. So one of the two pitchers, two of them, probably not. So that leaves the free agents. And do you want Clevenger? Probably not. You just ride with what you have now if that's the option. But if you have a chance to go get the reigning, defending, undisputed National League Cy Young Award winner, there's a Paul Heyman reference from my wrestling fans out there, go get him. It's as simple as that. If you have a chance to go get this guy, go get him. If not, you roll with what you have and you trust in the farm system. And both options are perfectly fine. There is not a wrong option there. Blake Snell makes you a legitimate absolute World Series contender. They already are, in my opinion, but he puts you over the top, in my opinion, as the favorite in the AL. But if you want to rely on the Will Warrens and the Luis Heels of this team, fine. Go for it. Let's see what they got, and let's see what we got for our future of the rotation. Because I trust it isn't. And again, this goes back to earlier points. It didn't matter who we added to this rotation, whether it had been Yamamoto or Burns or Cease or Snell or Montgomery coming back or Cabrera. There's a Cabrera reference, or Luzardo. Nobody has to be the number one on this team because we got the best goddamn pitcher in baseball. So not a single one of them had to be the number one. So that's my big thing. Blake Snell does not have to be. He does not have to be the guy he was last year. Rodon does not have to be the guy he was 2 years ago. Burns would not have to be a number one. Yamamoto would not have to be a number one because we've got the best number one in the sport. So that's why I think if we get Blake Snell, he will be perfectly fine here.
Salute, Rob. While these negotiations are going on behind the scenes, there are actually games being played. And the Yankees continue to ball out, apart from yesterday, but no one cares. The Yankees have been hitting the absolute cover off the ball all spring long. And I want to take this opportunity to pass the baton to our resident prospect guy, Mr. Rob. Rob, you were discussing on Twitter a certain prospect who's been kind of catching your eye, and certainly my eye too. So we'll take this opportunity to call this the prospect of the week with Rob. Rob, which prospect do you want to talk about?
Dorbit Vivas. I think he is my future second baseman. He's on the 40 man. I think he's the closest to ready that we have from our infield guys. I know Arias and Lombard, they're still years away. Same thing with Cerna. He's a little bit closer. But Vivas' bat, he's getting comps to Luis Arias. That swing of his is vicious looking. And it's kind of tailor-made for Yankee Stadium. Like, he could porch a few. He's not really a power guy, but he could certainly porch 15 or so hit with that swing at Yankee Stadium. I think his defense is just fine for second base. He doesn't really have the arm for third or short, but he looked great at second yesterday, made a nice play. He's pretty quick runner. And again, lefty, already on the 40 man. We've already seen some good looking stuff from him. He's kind of balling out early on in the spring. I can't wait to see what he does out in Scranton this year. I'm assuming that's where he'll start. And the future is bright for this kid. I think we might have our future second baseman if they do decide to let Torres walk. So far, so good. Again, it's still very, very early. We have to see more, but I really like what I'm seeing from Vivas, and that trade's looking better and better each day because we still haven't really seen Gonzalez yet in the spring, who we got from LA. But so far, so good on Vivas, man. That was a swap of prospects, and we got a relief pitcher out of it. So far, so good. I'm loving it.
Viva Las Vivas. Let's go. No, I'm really excited by Viva Las Vivas. I think it was a great trade. You got a steal here, guys. He's got upside, play defense, got a little bit of pop. I like to look at him, man. He's someone that could play a future second base, I think, as far as down the line. How far away do you think he is?
I think
probably this year. Next year. Go ahead,
Next year.
No, he's definitely climbing the ranks quickly. I think he's really got the fans excited because there's one that, it makes it easier to move on from players that were already likable when you could already see what's behind them. There were a lot of people, and I was one of them for a while, and I still go back and forth on it because I do like Torres. I think he's not the best ball player, but he's a good ball player. Right? He's doing it. None of us could do what he's doing. Well, I mean, we would know how to, run the bases, but I think the writing's on the wall. It was nice to know you, Torres, but you're gone. He's
already moving on from Glaber.
Yeah, but it's a fact. We're already seeing it, and it's it's one weekend, it's a handful of games, but you're already seeing the potential with Vivas that he's going to be a legitimate contribution on the infield. And that's something that we also need. It's one thing. It's great. You're bringing all these ground ball pitchers. and we've talked about this, if you don't have a legitimate defensive infield, what good is having all the ground balls if it's going to go through their legs? So it really does solve that problem because his defense is really good. And he can swing the bat. And like Rob said, he's going to catch a few push shots.
Yeah. Peraza hurt his arm or
right
something.
now. So this is an opportunity for Vivas to continue to climb up.
Yeah.
Vivas' stock is up and Peraza's stock is down right now.
Unfortunately, I'm not ready to close the door on Glaber being gone, though. I'll be honest. I think if he has another good season, if he has another year like the last two, wouldn't the Yankees at least want to entertain keeping him for the long haul? I mean, I know he's not like he's 35. He's going to be 27, I think, 28. So if he has another really good season, wouldn't you want to have him for another maybe 5 years? Again, as much as I like these prospects, they are just prospects until they prove it. We're talking about Arias and Lombard. These are A-ball players that have had a few spring games. So we have to wait. We have to wait to see if they're going to be legitimate when they get to the AA, especially AA. That's the big test, right? That's all we talk about. AA is the real good test. And then if they can get a handle of AAA quickly, like Dominguez did, they're pretty much ready to go. But that's still a long ways away. And Vivas is still very young, but I want to see how he does this year in Scranton before I'm ready to tout him as the absolute guy. But Torres has already proven, because he's had all but one good. Every year has been a good year except for one. 2021 wasn't great for him. But I don't know if you really want to count 2020 against him. It was a terrible go to start the season. It was the COVID stuff and when the league was going to start. Then he's getting a position switch. Everything went wrong that year. But the last 2 years back at second base, he's been great. So if he has another good season, I think the Yankees, especially if they don't sign a pitcher this year, the money's going to be right there to go pay Gleyber Torres if they want. If they don't want to do that and they want to let him walk, fine. You have several infield prospects that can take over second base. So the options are there. I'm just not ready to close the door on extending him yet. But depends on how he does.
Let's talk a little bit more about Mr. Vivas. So obviously he was a key part of the trade. Anyone who isn't completely familiar with him, he had a really good year last year at AAA. He's got an 805 OPS in 474 minor league games. So over 800 OPS is exactly what you're looking for. So he's got some power, gets on base. And the thing is about him is he's a contact guy. He's known for his contact rate. Even Boone was talking about him. He says he's an interesting player, and that he can't wait to see more of him. He says he feels he's definitely solid at second, but he says he could actually possibly play third as well. And the fact that we managed to get him because the Dodgers need to clear 40-man roster space to add Ohtani and Kelly, the Yankees benefited from that. Did a lot of homework apparently, and look at what he's doing already in camp, man. He's hit 2 home runs already, and he's playing nice defense. So he's got some power. He's got some pop. He can hit some contact. He steals bases. 805 OPS in 474 minor league games is absolutely what you're looking for. And you know what's great? He bats lefty for second base. Plus. Is great. That's a big plus. Rob, what do you think about some of what we're talking about?
I like the kid. I like the trade when it went down because I didn't think we were going to get him. I thought we were going to get 2 like major league arms for in the trade because at first when that rumor came out that we were making a trade with the Dodgers, like, oh, the Yankees are going to get 2 40-man roster players. And I'm like, it's probably going to be a pitcher, 2 pitchers at least. I'm thinking I wanted Gonzalez, so I was thrilled when we got him. And I was thinking maybe Ferguson, and you ended up getting him later. But I did not think we were going to get a prospect along with it. And I'm glad we got Vivas because he is more ready than Sweeney was. Sweeney still has a little more things to work on before he was ready. Sweeney was another lefty, but I really, really liked Vivas, and I'm glad we got him because he could be the second baseman as soon as next year, whereas some of these other kids are a couple of, 3 years away at least. So Vivas can easily take that spot, especially if we don't know what we're doing with Peraza. That's another conversation. It's a shame what they've done to him, but let's just hope that's the last time they do that to a prospect, right? But I think
he's got more power than Peraza.
He does. I think Peraza's got the better overall defense and probably the better speed. But I think in terms of the bat, Vivas is better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And he bats lefty, which is kind of a big plus as well.
Yeah.
Adds more balance to the lineup. It would be a
Look,
fit in Yankee Stadium. Like maybe the Yankees are looking at that too. There'll be other factors why Peraza hasn't been given the opportunity. I mean, I'm a big Peraza fan. If he's not a Yankee, wherever he goes, I'm going to root for him. I want him to do well. I think he's an excellent prospect. But I am excited about Vivas, man. I'm seeing a little bit of something that could really work with the Yankees. They like power guys. They like 800 OPS guys. They like guys with a little bit of contact and speed. He provides all that. And plus, it doesn't hurt the fact that Cashman did the homework on him and acquired him, which means that, the Yankees will probably want to give him an opportunity to succeed down the line. So, and this is a great point by Maza. Vivas is only 22. That's a big plus as well. So we've got time. He's got time on his side. We can continue to work with him behind the scenes. He already touched AAA last year, so I don't think he's far away. I think he's going to be Major League ready by next year.
Oh, definitely. And if they're able to make, it depends on what other moves, because, like our owner said, it's not pencils down till August 1st. So who knows what's going to happen to that point. So
what do you think, Mr. Vivas, Uncle Tats?
I think next year he's our starting second baseman.
Oh,
I really do. I can see that. And look, yeah, I think it's going to be, as much as, and it sucks because I do like Torres, but it's the contract. He's gonna want to get paid, rightfully so. But the Yankees have other priorities, and we have the prospects in the pipeline to absorb the risk of not giving him a deal. Now, I think that's really also what it is. We could afford not to give these guys the deals. The only one that you have to make sure that you pay up for is Soto, and then worry about everything else. So, like we went into this offseason, worry about Soto, then we'll get everything else sorted out, and it's sorted out. Because this team is in phenomenal shape. It sucks about Peraza being hurt, but you could also, you could have a situation where your infield is Peraza at third, Volpe at short, Vivas at second, and Ben Rice, at first. That's a pretty good That's a pretty good infield. And it buys you time. It saves you salary, like some people like, where you can afford to either trade them for what you need if it's not working. And it also gives time for the other key guys in the pipeline to have that extra development, so they're not being blocked. You're not putting a big contract in these positions where you're blocking further prospects from leaping over who we're using.
But you also don't have to wait for the prospect. Let's just say Vivas comes up and has a great year, has a Gleyber Torres, not a power like, but comes up and hits like Gleyber did his rookie year. First 2 years in the league, Gleyber was one of the better players in baseball. He was an all-star, I think, in 2019, juice ball, but whatever. He's still a great hitter.
Yep.
If Vivas is playing like that, and he'll be 24 or 25 by the time Arias is ready, assuming he's ready by 2026, the earliest, which, again, there's no guarantee before people start, putting that out there, or already have put out there. There's no guarantees ready by 2026, but why would you be like, okay, well, we're going to get rid of this young kid who's got years of control because of a prospect that might do what he's doing? That's my issue, is you don't just get rid of players for the sake of getting rid of them because of a prospect. That's not what a $300 million payroll team does, because you can afford to pay these players. A rebuilding team would do that, or a team that can't afford to do that would do that to keep recouping assets. The Yankees don't have to do that. They have the international market that they're so good in. They have the draft that they've been really good in the last few years. Their drafts have been really good. So if Vivas comes up and plays well, they don't have to put all their stock into these prospects. Now, Arias, I think, has to have a spot here, but you can't have 7 different infielders and only 3 places to put them, or 4. Because I don't know who's going to be the first baseman. It could be Rice. It could be a hybrid of Jones, whatever it may be. We don't know about first base. That's their weakest position in the system. But they have 175 shortstops, second basemen, and third basemen. Eventually, you got to move some of them. So If Vivas is the one who's ready now and he does play well, why move on from that? And maybe you use Lombard as a trade chip in a couple of years if his stock comes up. I know people don't want to hear that because he's got a lot of potential, but sometimes you got to do things that no one really likes to hear. So everything with prospects is just potential. It's just possibles. It's just what ifs. You don't worry about prospects until they're ready. Lombard, Arias, they're not ready yet, but Vivas is close to ready. So that's why I'm going to look forward to seeing him. I'll look forward to seeing Arias in 2026 and 2027 when they're closer to ready. But we ain't there yet. It just started 2024. So I ain't worried.
Do you know
about
who
that.
I'm looking forward to seeing? DJ LeMahieu. So I just want to talk about an article that I'm reading here. I think DJ looks great, says Boone. And then his teammates are amazed and, quote, envious. They're seeing the DJ of old. Quote, Anthony Volpe, he's the master. DJ LeMahieu's the master. He makes it look so easy. Definitely as easy as I've ever seen in a player. Shortstop Anthony Volpe. Added catcher Jose Trevino. That's classic DJ. There's a reason why he is a two-time batting champion. So his batting practice swings and live BP has been turning heads. Everyone in camp's amazed at it. And Boone says that he's not seen the level of line drives to all fields and the power from LeMahieu since in the last 3 years until now. So that was a long, convoluted way of saying, basically, LeMahieu's looking as good as he did 3 years ago. So he's been really working on his lower body, his lower half. He's developing that power again, and he's been hitting line drives to all fields. So I really expect a big year from LeMahieu, and I'm quite interested to see how he does. I predict a big year going forward for DJ, and I kind of credit to him, absolutely credit to him, man. He's worked really hard. He had a down year last year, but he came back in the second half and he was good. But he had a down previous year as well, so he worked really hard to get that lower body, get that lower half fixed, and because that's where you generate your power. You generate your power from your lower half. Anyone who's watching the game who's maybe want to learn how to hit more powerful, you don't hit from your upper half. It all generates from your lower half, and DJ was working on that. And it's pretty exciting. So, he looks good early. I've seen his at-bats. Looks good early. And I know it's going to piss off one person in the chat, but it should excite everybody else. And salute. So let's have a look and see what we're saying about here about DJ LeMahieu. Facts, Donald. DJ looks great. And a big hashtag DJ train. Oh, I like that. Let's get that. Let's get that hashtag trending. So yeah, salute to DJ LeMahieu. That's my DJ. Tony Clark, do you see a bounce back year? Uncle Tats, do you see a bounce back year from DJ?
Oh, absolutely. I said it. Don't sleep on. If you have and we're seeing that he's healthy. But I said, as long as he can get back to his health, he'll get that youth back, because that's just the type of player that he is. It's not like these players that rely on their muscle. He relies on his agility, and when he's healthy, then he's ready to go. And we're seeing he's ready to go. He's gonna be a spark on that in that lineup.
All he has to do is do what he did in the second half last year.
Yep.
With the guys that are hitting behind him, Soto and Judge, he'll be fine. He doesn't have to be the guy he was 4 years ago. He doesn't have to hit 360. He doesn't have to hit 390. He doesn't have to be Ted Williams. Just be second half of 2023 DJ, and we're going to have a really good hitter. It's as simple as that. He showed already that he can play a very good third base. He had a really nice play the other day. There's no reason to be upset about DJ. We know what happened with his foot. That obviously derailed him for a little bit. But second half of last year, you saw that same guy we saw a few years ago. And so far, again, we have is the early reports of spring. He looks good, and that's all we can ask for. Come out of the spring healthy, and I've got plenty of confidence that he'll be another good season from DJ. 270, 260, whatever, higher. Do that at the top of the order with those guys behind you. It's going to be a good year.
I think it's more than that. I think he's going to. He's got a career batting average of 292, and the only reason why his career batting average is over 300 is because the two bad years that he's had back to back at 240, 260 batting average. Otherwise, he'd probably have like a 305 career batting average. So I expected to actually get closer to his career. You might be looking at 280, 290, which is way above major league average, because the major league average is what, 233, 235. I think you're looking at 280, something like that, if you're getting him at the leadoff spot or wherever you choose to do it. But what I like is that Aaron Boone's saying that he hasn't seen the quality of line drives that he's seen from DJ in the last 3 years. So that's great news. That means he's getting his he's turning back time. And
he's not holding anybody back. That's the other thing. And his value to any club is exponential. Look, you got a guy that you have a Gold Glove player at third, third, second, and first, who's won 2 batting titles, one in each league. Not easy to do. If it wasn't for an injury, his career batting average should be well above 300. What player, and he's only $15 million for the year. What player are you going to fill that role with? You don't have it.
Yeah, that's the reason. That's exactly the reason. Yeah. It's nothing to do with everything else you've ever said. I'm not doing this today with you because the end of the show. But I end this on a high note. We've ignored you the entire time, but now's a little bit of a chance for me to go at you. That's not the reason that we don't agree with you, LI. I can tell you that right now. That is not the reason. They're not on your side for a lot more than your DJ LeMahieu takes. I can tell you that right the hell now.
Which are if you
haven't noticed, this entire show or the last like 15 minutes, it's been kind of, as much as we've hyped up DJ, kind of trolling you right back. The same thing you've been doing to everybody on Twitter. So taste of your own medicine.
That's it. We know how to troll too, my guy. You bring the fire, expect the fire back.
Look. Let's end it on that before we start. Get your follow.
You can't let our fans.
Excuse me, but no. Look, there's a lot to a lot to look forward to for this year. I'm not in the mood really to get into all the negativity, but just be careful what people. I'll say this to end the show. Right. I try to come on here and I don't go, well, I heard this guy say that and I heard this guy say that. All right. If you're going to bring an opinion, bring your own. And that's it. So on that note, if you haven't already, smack that like button. Subscribe if you are not subscribed. We will be back Friday morning.
If you haven't subscribed, we can offer you everything you want. You want prospects, we'll give you prospects. Positivity, we'll give you positivity. We'll give you the truth, we'll get the truth. It's so fun.
You want us to bullshit you? We'll bullshit you. But we'll tell you anything you want to hear. Just hit that sub button. But it's been a great show. Thank you everybody in the chat. Love and appreciate you all. But we'll be back Friday morning, 10 a.m. as always. So wear your pinstripes of pride and play hard.